You want to be at a public. Yes.
Call to order. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Boy, as the end of the year starts to draw to a close, it starts to get exciting at these meetings with all kinds of awards and presentations, and everybody starts getting excited. We'll have welcome and introductions, and Mr. Gilman, we'll start with you.
Randy Gilman, Assistant Superintendent, Elementary.
Tammy Cardona, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary.
April Meckel, Board Member.
Jim Shalou, Director.
John Stewart, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Brock, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources.
Carol Yant, Board Member.
Michelle Chamberlain, Director.
Crystal Hargis, Vice President.
Nisha Patel, Superintendent.
Judy Smith, Board President. And we have 2.3, approval of meeting minutes from April 13th. Need a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve the minutes.
And a second.
Second, Chamberlain.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. We move to 2.4, approval of amended minutes from March 16th. We need a motion to approve the amended minutes.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes. And we move on to 2.5, approval of the agenda for the April 20th, 2021 meeting tonight. I need a motion.
So move.
And second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. And we move on to communications. We have 3.1, Superintendent Comments.
Welcome and good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Full house tonight, which we always love to see. And we're going to be highlighting and celebrating and recognizing 3 outstanding members of our school district tonight. So I'm going to save my superintendent comments and make sure we have time for those.
Yes, so I kind of want to echo what Judy said a minute ago. It's good to see recognitions, and I just want to say congrats to our staff members being recognized this evening. That is a strength of this district, is our people, and so it's always good when we see them recognized. Quickly, pre-K through 8 summer school registration is open. It's filling up. There is a finite amount of room this year due to COVID protocols and staffing, so don't delay registering. You can find all of that info on the district website under programs. Our summer sites this year will be from kindergarten through 4th grade, Hamrick Elementary, Rockport Heights Elementary, Guffey Elementary, and Sackman Elementary. Grades 5 through 8 will be at Ridgewood Middle School and Sackman Middle School. Our ESY is K through 12, and that'll be at Simpson Elementary. And our ECSE ESY will be here at Don Earl. Our focus is always to bring balance and is to balance learning and fun. This year, there'll be a special emphasis on closing any learning gaps brought on by the pandemic. And that is all I have this evening.
So I just have a few things. First of all, I was able to get out and visit Fox Middle School today, so I've not yet been able to post some of the pictures that I took, but it was a great visit. it's nice to get into the buildings and see the kiddos. And I was able to go in and see some map preparation. I went into the library, and they were a little short on subs, so we had groups of kids in the library. And you know, it's funny how sometimes you walk into a library and it's quiet and there's not many there. And so the librarian, Miss Dome, was sitting there, and she's like, "I love when kids come in." And so there were different groups of kids, so that was awesome to see. The middle school and high school has started their MAP and their EOC testing, so that's underway right now. And then, of course, we're in full swing of planning all of our senior activities, and that's getting exciting. Their last day is actually May the 14th. So before you know it, that's going to be here. So a lot of good things going on. I want to congratulate our staff members that are going to be recognized tonight, and let's finish strong. Thank you.
So this weekend, I was thrilled to see that the All Abilities Prom took place at Seckman, and the smiles in the pictures that I saw really just say it all. So I'm so happy that things that were not able to take place last year are taking place this year. So thanks to all the people who helped out with that. And then spring sports are in the air, even though it's snowing outside, or it was. So serves and blocks are happening, goals are being scored, PRs, races, pars and birdies, and even home runs are all happening, and it makes my heart happy, even though as a parent I'm out of practice with spring sports, and it's kind of really hitting me. So keep up the good work and the teamwork, and thanks, coaches, for all you do.
Glad to see everyone here today. I picked up my grandson from Hodge, and it was literally a snow blizzard at that time. And I told the principal there that normally I would think that this would be a pretty unusual event, but after this past year, I wasn't surprised at all.
It's glad to see so many people here, and school year's winding down, so a lot of documents to complete. John's going to talk about some good news on the finance side, and so we'll look forward to that from John. Thanks.
So I've got a few quick things here. I'll talk about the financing in item, I think it's 6.2, or that's going to be for the board to discuss, but I will, in regards to that, just say we had a great day, so I'll just start with that. Last week on Thursday and Friday, we had bus inspections, and we had 127 buses inspected, and we had 125 pass on the first inspection, so that's 98.4%. The two that did not pass on first inspection were immediately fixed and ran back through inspection and passed, and they were minor issues. One was a light bulb, I think, in a blinker, a brake light, and the other was a screw in a piece of railing that helps to hold down the rubber in the walkway going up. So everything was great. So I shout out to our transportation department, and also thanks to K&K for their hard work with us. I do want to let everybody know today we received our April state aid payment, and since the governor, I know we've been talking about it about 2 months now, but the governor released the funds at the end of February, beginning of March, and indeed when I looked at the state aid payment, there was no proration factor. So what that means is we have received our funding from the state to date as where we would have been had there not been any withholdings. So we are, to this point, fully funded from the state. Still have a couple months to go. So that's fantastic news. And then I wanted to also recognize tomorrow is Administrative Assistance Day. And I know I've got several folks in my department that I want to say thank you so much for helping and doing and everything, and making me look good, because that's hard to do. And that's a big job. But more than just the folks in my department, just all the administrative assistants throughout the district, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do, and I know it's a lot.
I just want to say congratulations to the individuals who are going to be recognized this evening for their awards. And then also to echo John, our office professionals, our support staff, admin professionals, do so much just making schools run smoothly, just making everything happen, making our office run smoothly. We couldn't do anything that we do without them. So thank you to them.
I'm just going to kind of repeat John's comment about administrative secretaries. I think you're absolutely right. They make the bosses look good, and this is a good time to recognize them. They do a great job in our buildings and in central office. And also, we have several people this evening that are getting awards, and I want to congratulate all of them. I was able to attend my first steering committee for Fox High School last week, and it's really exciting to see Ittner's idea about what the changes they're going to make at the high school. They're very receptive to discussions, changes that we might feel need to be made, and Tammy Cardona has done a great job working with them. And I'm really excited to be on that committee, and I think Krista will probably talk about that a little bit more.
I'll repeat what everyone else has said already. This is an exciting night, recognizing staff members. Just thank you for all you do to do that extra step. There's this quote I love, is about every kid deserves a champion, and the teachers like you and the staff that are getting recognized tonight, you are our children's champions, and thank you. We have our own administrative assistant, Judy, over there. She's been absolutely amazing, the kindest person I know, and thank you for everything that you've done the last several months, because it's been crazy. And echo on the sports thing, we had, I have to talk about lacrosse. So my son is at Fox High School, but they don't have a lacrosse team, so now we play at Seckman, and they did so well against Lindbergh, but we didn't win. But they scored so many goals that the Jaguar, ow! I'm sorry, people are probably gonna make fun of me by doing that, but it scared us. We're like, oh my God, where's that? I've never heard it, so that was really, really cool. So just everyone, it's awesome, and everyone have a great rest of the year.
First off, I'd like to congratulate everyone here for being recognized tonight for your awards. We appreciate all your hard work, and our administrative assistants, our secretaries. These buildings we know wouldn't run without you, and we really appreciate everything you do. I'm sitting on the steering committee with Carol and Dr. Cardona and John Stewart and Scott Bogallo, and we met with Ittner last Thursday. We reviewed the Fox High School designs. They've worked really hard. Dr. Cardona and Dr. Sherp have worked with the teachers in developing the preliminary design, and we went over that. And then again today, we had a tour so we could actually have more of a visual of what the building would look like, and we had an opportunity to go into the high school science labs and look at what they look like today. And so we're really excited about what's going to take place in the next couple of years with that building. Right now, we're just in the discussion, but I feel like we're making some headway. I think the next step will be to meet with Ittner and the board and to go over Fox High School design, and then they can start moving forward with that. And then we talked about Seckman Middle School, the additions, and what we can do possibly down there with making some changes. It looks like some classrooms and some other things could possibly be added to those designs. And that is just preliminary right now, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we come up with that. That's it. Thank you.
I want to also thank Judy Turney. I had no idea what the board president did, but a lot, but it couldn't get done without her, because she keeps putting it out there and she keeps it all straight. And she's done a great job, and she's really worked really, really hard. And we do know that in a building, the secretaries are really the ones that run them and keep things going. And so we appreciate all of those people also. We're going to move on to patron comments, and Dr. Gilman.
Yes, we have one comment this evening. Kathy O'Connor.
Kathy, we have 3 minutes according to board policy, and I will be the timekeeper.
Good evening, Dr. Patel and Fox Board of Education.
Kathy, I stopped your time.
Okay.
You can go.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Patel, Fox Board of Education. I am Kathy O'Connor, and I am a parent of 2 Fox High School graduates. I'm also a special education teacher in the district and the president of Fox CTA. Tonight, I'd like to talk about what an incredible superintendent Dr. Patel is and how we're going to miss her. On January 29, 2019, Dr. Patel was approved to be the next superintendent of the Fox School District. Since that day, she has gone above and beyond to make sure kids are her first priority in this district. Dr. Patel has been extremely approachable and transparent with this district. She made sure to always let the staff know of communications before they went out. Dr. Patel has held meetings with the Fox CTA since she began as superintendent. At any time, any one of our members had a district concern, I could email Dr. Patel and she would get back to me right away. If she was unable to get back to me, she would research the topic and promptly follow up with an email. She is a great listener. At the February 2020 meeting, Board of Education meeting, one board member was quoted as saying, "Her listening is unbelievable. When someone calls, she's a very good listener, which makes people feel comfortable and valued. That is something that has been missing prior to her being the superintendent. People didn't feel like their voice was being heard. She has turned that around," end quote. She has become part of the solution this district needed and loved for sure. Our trustworthy superintendent has been able to navigate leading our district through a pandemic with several learning opportunities available to suit families' needs in the district. Dr. Patel met with supportive parents as well as angry parents and has been able to communicate effectively with the best and most positive attitude I have ever seen of anyone. Our phenomenal superintendent started Mission Monday, which focused on the unique qualities of individual staff members in the Fox District. That's dedication. Our first-rate superintendent, along with JP, started another journey with the Fox C-6 Strong Voices podcast, which focuses voices and stories of students and staff members in the community that showcases how that they all make us Fox C-6 strong. Our superintendent held Pizza with Patel meetings with staff members from individual schools in order to open dialogue with staff and listen to concerns and celebrations. That is trust. Our dedicated superintendent slogan that students enter the district with
30 seconds.
with a purpose and will hold true and will enter the district with a promise and leave the district with a purpose will hold true because the superintendent put her faith in kids. Isn't that why we're all here? Thank you, Dr. Patel, for everything you've done. I hope that I can be half the instructional leader as a future administrative role as you have been to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. 3.4, Missouri Association of School Nurses Award, and we have Sarah Riss here. Nope. Okay, somebody else. Peggy Carlston.
Thank you. Are we on? Hi, my name is Peggy Carlston. I'm the president of the Missouri Association of School Nurses. I'm just one of your neighbors. I'm over in Northwest School District. I'm a school nurse. So first off, I have with me Rebecca Cartmill. She is our MASN Awards Chair, and we're here tonight to honor Shannon Head. So thank you all, Fox Board members, administrators, staff, and guests, for allowing us to come and present this award at your board meeting tonight. Normally, we would present this award at our annual spring conference and luncheon, but COVID. I'd like to read you a few excerpts from Shannon's nominating documents. Shannon Head truly exemplifies all of the characteristics of an outstanding school nurse. Shannon has been described as compassionate, empathetic, competent, self-motivated, and dedicated. She shows her compassion and empathy every day in treating all students as if they were her own. Shannon supports her students' emotional health by being empathetic and calming. She provides excellent, competent care for both students and staff. This is a quote. "She is one of the most kind-hearted people I have ever met." She not only provides excellent, competent care for our students, but our staff as well. Shannon is a great communicator. As an example, during the COVID pandemic, she first educated herself on COVID so she could educate her community on how to prevent the spread of COVID and how to care for those who became ill. Even though she may have met with some opposition and negative responses to mitigation measures, she pushed through and has remained professional and has responded with kindness. Shannon is self-motivated as she is continually seeking out educational opportunities. With her knowledge, she was instrumental in setting up mitigation, quarantine, and isolation procedures in the Fox School Districts. A fellow school nurse reports that Shannon helped her to dig deep and push forward. Shannon is a leader and an important part of the Fox nursing team. As the union spokesperson, her leadership efforts with the district administration has improved the school nurses' working conditions by providing lunch breaks, elevating salaries, and assuring supply deliveries. Shannon has been an inspiration to the district nurses, teachers, and administration during this past school year. She has raised the bar of school nursing during this tough year in dealing with the COVID pandemic. She has been labeled a champion of hope and inspiration and is so worthy of the MASN Award for Outstanding Service of a School Nurse. Please join me in celebrating Shannon Head's outstanding service by a school nurse. Thank you. This way. Okay.
I just have a couple things to say. I promise not to make it too long. First of all, I would like to thank the Missouri Association of School Nurses for choosing me for this award. I am honored to receive the award for outstanding
Okay. Outstanding work as a school nurse for the state of Missouri for this school year. I would also like to thank my husband for always being supportive of all my endeavors, and I'd like to thank my peers for nominating me for this award. We all know that each and every nurse in the district has done an outstanding job during this unprecedented school year. I would like to thank my principals and Rockport staff for always trusting and supporting me. I am so fortunate to work with these people each and every day. Last but not least, I would like to thank the students and families of Rockport Elementary for entrusting me in the care of your child. And please remember this, students must be healthy to be educated and educated to be healthy. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, Shannon. We move on to 3.5, Missouri Association of School Administrators Award, and that is Sarah Riss.
Good evening. I'm afraid I'm going to be a little bit briefer. As a past superintendent, we just tend to get right to the point. This evening, I'm here on behalf of the Missouri Association of School Administrators. Dr. Nisha Patel was among 7 Missouri superintendents recognized by the Missouri Association of School Administrators for outstanding performance as an emerging superintendent in their 2nd or 3rd year of the profession. Dr. Patel was nominated for the honor by her colleagues in the Greater St. Louis MASA District. She was honored during the awards banquet at the spring conference, but because she put her district first, I'm here tonight to honor her. This award is presented annually to superintendents who are in their 2nd or 3rd year of employment and have made a measurable contribution to the school districts which they serve. And I think you heard a lot of those from our previous speaker this evening. On a personal note, Dr. Patel is one of the most intelligent, caring, and courageous leaders I know. She leads with the students, staff, and their families at the center of her decision-making. She leads with the highest level of integrity of anyone I know. Even in difficult situations, she continually praises the people that are around her, even when it's hard. She believes in the people that work here. She believes in the people that take care of the kids. I am proud to know you and have you as a role model for us all. Congratulations.
Oh, they're adorable.
Okay, there's nothing like a great aunt to be a great role model for the nieces.
All right, and Sarah Riss is also going to continue with 3.6 2021 MOSPAR New Professional of the Year Award.
There you go. Each year, the Missouri School Public Relations Association recognizes those who have done exceptional work in the field of school communications. Among our recognitions is the New Professional of the Year Award. This award goes to an individual who is in his or her first 2 years in the field. The recipient shall have exhibited a creative, dedicated, and professional approach to school public relations. Sample attributes include professionalism, commitment to obtain professional development, strategic skills, and the ability to develop and implement high-quality communication practices. And I think you heard about a few of those earlier this year, too, that are happening in your district. Typically, there is one recipient for this award, but the judges felt so strongly about the work these new professionals did during a year unlike we've never had before, they were unable to select just one. JP is one of those 8 exceptional new professionals being honored, and we are very proud of his work as well as that of his peers. On behalf of the Missouri School Public Relations Association, we are pleased to recognize JP Presavento as a new Professional of the Year. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is an exciting night. We've got more to come. 3.7 District Teacher of the Year presentation, Dr. Patel.
It is my absolute honor and proud moment tonight that I get to introduce to you our District Teacher of the Year, Nicole Heidert. Nicole teaches science at Seckman Middle School. She's been teaching there for 3 years. She started teaching STEM her first year. Last 2 years, she taught 8th grade science. Prior to that, she was at Hillsborough for, I believe, about 12 years teaching there. So we grabbed greatness from Hillsborough, and Dr. Cardona had a good part of that. So thank you for that as well. But truly, what makes her outstanding is her ability to build relationships with her students. Nicole has a goal of within the first 3 days, she knows all 150 names of her students. And on the 3rd day, her goal is to greet them by their name so that they know how important they are to her. That's just one of the things that I believe separates her from everybody else. She is part of the curriculum writing committee. She's part of the professional development committee. She even said, you know what, I'm going to be part of the reentry committee during this pandemic to give us her voice. But one of the things that kind of really stood out to me is when we were reading her professional biography, and I hope you don't mind, Nicole, but I'm going to read a little bit of that, because when I read that, to me, that really spoke volumes about who she is as a person. So I'm going to read that excerpt to you. And, you know, we all know why we got into education. There was a reason, there was somebody that inspired us. But for Nicole, she talks about that in her professional biography. She says, "My grandmother was and will always be my favorite person. As a little girl, I watched everything she did, taught me how to cook. She taught me how to play games. She taught me how to serve others and so much more. One of the things I admired the most about my grandmother was that she was an educator. She had her master's degree in English and taught all over the country. One of her greatest accomplishments was being the head of a school for the visually impaired and hearing impaired in California. For a woman born in 1932, my grandmother's accomplishments pioneered the way for not only me, but women in general. As I got older and spent more time with her, I watched her model how her educational philosophies spilled into every part of who she was and what she did. Her example is the reason I knew I wanted nothing more than to be a teacher." I think that speaks volumes to who she is. And today, it is my honor, again, as I said, and humbling, that I present to you our District Teacher of the Year and to our community, Nicole.
Thank you so much. I am both honored and humbled to stand before you today. I am grateful to be surrounded by educators and administrators at SMS who are Team Kid and who work tirelessly day in and day out to ensure not only our students' needs are met educationally, but also socially and emotionally. Just to be nominated amongst educators who, even during the hardest months in education, have made special deliveries to students' homes, held Zoom meetings during off hours to help struggling students, repeatedly checked on the well-being of their students, created new and innovative lessons to be taught digitally, purchased resources to aid instruction and engagement, and so much more is an incredible honor. The staff in the Fox C-6 School District give this community so much to be proud of, and I genuinely believe that. As we grow up, we often get asked, if you could choose to do anything, what would be your dream job? For me, teaching isn't just my dream job, it is the intersection of my passion and my purpose. I have had the privilege of sharing my love for science with 2,400 plus students so far in my career. We have explored scientific processes, asked questions, conducted experiments, written like scientists, and had a whole lot of fun doing it. Building relationships with my students and helping them cultivate a passion for learning is what inspires me daily in my classroom. I am so grateful for the opportunity to serve a community that I love and to do it alongside people who believe in one another, who have the same educational values, and who are always Team Kid. I look forward to continuing my educational journey in the Fox C-6 School District with the next 2,400 students to come. Thank you again.
Congratulations and thank you, Nicole. We move on to 4.1, our financial report, and Mr. Stewart.
So with all that excitement, I'm going to bring it down with boring numbers. So that's a hard act to follow. I will tell you, as you look at the graph here, our fund balances continue to be better than we've anticipated, and you'll see there in the March, they're still about $3.3 million above where they were a year ago. Our revenues year to date, so we are through the month of March, we're not 3/4 of the year through, or 3/4 through the year, 75% through the year. So our revenues through that same period for all funds is about 81.29% of budget, and our just funds 1 and 2, it's just under 80%. So we're trending ahead in revenues. Overall, our expenditures are also down. So overall, our expenditures are just under 63% on all funds. So again, that's being 3/4 of the way through the year, and our expenditures are at 63%. And just funds 1 and 2, the operating funds, were just over 60% of budget. So things are looking well there. Overall, as far as contributions to the increase over last year, a little bit of the difference. So our revenues are trending ahead of last year by approximately $900,000, and that's before we get the full effect of state aid funding being full, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. And our expenditures are down approximately $2.2 million over a year ago, and that's just in operating funds 1 and 2. So, and I want you to think about this. That's significant in the fact that we received $1 million of CARES Act money that covered existing expenses, but other than that, all the coronavirus aid money that we have received required additional expenditures, and most of that has been out of funds 1 and 2. There's been some that's come out of equipment so far, but the vast majority has been out of funds 1 and 2. And so, even though we received $2 million through the county CARES Act, and additional, I think there was an additional $1 million that came in there as well from another source. And so, but our expenses are down $2.2 million, and a lot of that has to do with just the fact of the pandemic and having 40% of the kids in 2 days a week for the whole first semester, and running buses 4 days a week, but not running buses 1 day a week. So so that all contributes to that. So if there's any questions on the financial report. So this is the policy amendment that, or language that the board discussed last week. I was asked to get some input from MSBA and our attorneys, and through the different sources we checked with, there are no other districts that have wording in a policy like this. So it's a novel idea. There is the risk of, if we added language like this into the policy, of course the risk, and I think you all discussed that last week, is you're tying the hands of the board in the future, although the board can amend a policy anytime they want to amend and change that. So that is a risk. There is also, I believe, as Mr. Shalou had mentioned, that there is some ambiguity around the terms fund balance and incentive in there, but I was also told that a good policy is specific enough to give you guidelines as a board and as a district, and ambiguous enough to give you room to maneuver. So and I was told that it was actually, the amendment was fairly well written, and there's no way to clarify it appropriately to make it crystal clear. But that there are some other options as far as not wanting to tie the board's hands. So, and one of the suggestions was it could just be an annual discussion that the board has at the beginning of the year. So like maybe I was thinking in the lines of August or September each year, after we know what our financial condition has ended as of June 30th, because we'll have our ASBR report done, and we'll be most of the way, if not all the way, through our audit process. And if that's just an annual discussion that that the board wants to have, to say yay or nay, or we don't have enough information. So so that's the feedback that I received from different sources, and I will leave that open to the board's discussion.
Well, I have been doing a lot of research on this, and again, I found that no one else has a policy written like this. I've also have a handout for all the board members of the districts that do incentives, and some of them are recently doing incentives this year. Some have done incentives in the past, and they offer a variety of different incentives as far as insurance. Some offer tied to sick days. So I would like to pass this out for the board to look at. This is a lot of digging through board documents to see when they voted on incentives, and some of them are tied to actual contracts that the teachers negotiated, and they had the incentive as part of their language in their contract. I tried to write that on there. I may have missed some of them, but I want you to be aware. Incentives are very important for us to be able to use in a time of need. We don't ever want to put ourselves in a position that we cannot, that we would have to possibly RIF people. So this incentivize people to leave the district if they so choose. And corporations do this all the time. It's not anything unusual. But it is something that we don't want to tie our hands and not have the ability to do. And I agree, John, we need to have that conversation every year. We need to look at it. Right now, things are looking pretty good financially. At the beginning of this year, it wasn't looking so good. So we need to have these conversations, and we don't need to have language. We should be good stewards. We are elected by the community to make good budget decisions, and that's what we should always keep in the back of our minds, that we don't want to make an incentive that's going to be difficult for the school district, but we also want to have that as something in our back pocket that if we need to use. So I'm going to pass these around, and you can look at them, but it's just for your background knowledge.
So, anybody else?
I have a question. You know, we talk about the incentives, and you know, some of us say that it is good for the district, and some of us do not believe that it is. Is there any way in the beginning of the school year to really, if we're going to talk about this, to obviously he's a numbers expert, so I would really value his opinion whenever we do talk about that, and just like Crystal said, be responsible, because I appreciate your heart, Michelle, in bringing this up and wanting to protect the district. So thank you for that and bringing this to the table to discuss. I appreciate that.
Anybody else?
I guess I just want to conclude my thought by saying that when we, like an example tonight was with Nicole, with our Teacher of the Year. She didn't come to our district as a first-year teacher. She came from another district, and she's amazing. And I would much prefer us spending our money on, you know, getting those amazing teachers and always having to hire first-year teachers, which everyone starts first year somewhere, you know, so I'm not saying anything bad about first-year teachers. But I'm just thinking that I would much rather put our money into expertise, I guess, of teachers and or facilities where we can use or see. I think April, you mentioned that last week. I love that comment. And incentives we can't use and we can't see.
Okay, we'll move on then. Anybody else have a comment about that? So I guess we'll talk about that in the fall. 5.1, purchase of buses. Mr. Stewart.
So you have before you the information. We issued an RFP for the purchase of new or low mileage used minibuses to assist with our current homeless transportation issues that we're having. We have, I think we're contracted with 3 or 4 different transportation companies and still having problems. So the funding for the vast majority of this purchase will come through what's known as Gear 1 funding, which is a portion of the original CARES Act. And so the district was allocated $158,137 in gear funding. This is an appropriate approved purchase under those guidelines, and so we can use that for that. As you see, the listing of the buses, and I'm sorry if I gave Judy an updated attachment in there. The original one was split into 2 pages, and I apologize for that, but just on the bid analysis, we had 3 different bidders submit bids. Some were for new, some were for used, and after careful analysis, Gary Cross, our transportation director, and he actually went and looked at the used bus, and we're recommending that we go with Midwest Bus Sales, and we purchased 2 of the 2022 Chevy Minotaur minibuses. Those are $65,986 a piece. And then we purchased 1 used 2018 Chevy Minotaur from Midwest Bus Sales and it has 10,000 miles on it, so it's a few years old, but it only has 10,000 miles on it for $49,426. Now the total of those, and we're also trading in 9 buses. So we currently have 136 buses. I know I said we only inspected 127, but that's because the 9 we're trading in, we did not inspect. So we're trading in 9 buses, and this would be a purchase of 3, so we'll be reducing 6 buses out of our fleet. We'll be receiving from Midwest Bus Sales a trade-in value on those 9 buses of $12,500. So that will net us into, I believe it's a $168,898 is the total value for the purchase. We have, just to let you know, Ms. Meckel, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We'll get that correct here. Ms. Meckel was asking me about our bus fleet and our last purchase. So this district, we bought 60 buses in 2015. And in 2016, we purchased 4 buses, and then in 2019, we purchased 6 buses. We have not purchased any buses since 2019. So these 3 buses would be used initially for the homeless transportation issue, and then could, if that winds up not helping or we need them, we can use them in regular transportation. Buses have a life. We can repair them and keep them going for quite a long time, but we prefer to, a good rotation would be like a 10 to 12 year lifespan, so you're replacing like 10% of your buses a year. So with 130 buses, that's 13 buses, just a ballpark figure on $100,000 a bus when you're looking at large buses, so you're talking about $1.3 million a year. But this would be a good initial start anyway. We will be bringing some additional buses in the budget for the new coming year. So with all that information, I would just like to recommend that the board approve the purchase of 2 new 2022 Chevy Minotaur buses and 1 used 2018 Chevy Minotaur bus from Midwest Bus Sales for a total of $168,898, including the trade-in allowance. And I did mention, yes, we had $158,137 in gear funding, so a little over $10,000 would have to come out of the district budget. This would be out of the next year's budget for delivery and all that. So literally for basically a little over $10,000 of district funds, we can get 2 brand new buses and 1 gently used bus.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Those opposed? So it carries.
Can I just add, I would still vote yes, but the 14 by 1, is that 14 seats, 22 by 1? Is that what that means? Or one, I see it says 1 lift up there, but I'm not, what is that, 14, 22, 12?
So yes, I believe that includes a lift.
So that's like the seats, is that what that
It's
is?
a handicapped accessible.
Okay, but the number, the first number is that what that is? The
Oh,
seats?
the number, yeah, that's the number.
Okay,
The
okay.
seating number on the bus.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we continue on to 5.2, Fiber Project. Mr. Stewart.
You have in front of you a service agreement from Midwest Computech. The technology department is requesting the approval of the fiber install, which will increase the bandwidth availability at 5 locations, which is Early Childhood, Sherwood Elementary, Merrimack Heights Elementary, Guffey Elementary, and Clyde Hamrick Elementary. This was bid through our E-rate process by our E-rate provider, and we received 3 different bids, Midwest Computech being the lowest bid. The install cost is $15,319. Once we receive the E-rate pricing as applied, it's half of that, so we'll end up paying $7,659.95, and is recommended to approve the agreement with Midwest Computech as presented.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you. Okay, on to 5.3, Graduation, St. Charles Family Arena. Dr. Cardona.
Okay, so I'm asking this with a smile, because we know last year at this time we were still like, what are we going to do about graduation, right? So this feels really, really good. So I am recommending to the board that you approve the attached contract for the family arena in St. Charles for the $30,000 to hold both of our high school graduations. So Seckman High School would take place on that Monday, which is May the 24th, and Seckman High School would be on Tuesday, May 25th. Just as a reminder, graduation was scheduled for that Sunday prior to that on the 23rd at Chaffetz. Chaffetz contacted me about 4 weeks ago now, and said, look, we do not have approval yet from St. Louis City, and I don't know if that's going to come, the gentleman that we work with at Chaffetz. And at that point, we really had to make a decision because families make plans around that date, and you know, I was nervous to wait. And then when I heard other schools that usually use Chaffetz were deciding to go somewhere else, I was like, our dates are going to really be, you know, shrunk what we can use. So unfortunately, I was not able to keep that Sunday date, so we do have graduation on 2 different nights, but we did keep it as close to that original date as possible. The other good thing is each high school is going to have about 450 graduates, and they are able to get all 450 graduates on the floor at the same time, and their seating capacity will allow for several tickets for our families, which is a great plus for our families. So I'm just asking you to approve the attached contract for graduations.
We need a motion.
So move.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, good job.
Tammy, do you know, you said several tickets. Do you happen to know, like, is it going to be 2 or is it going to be 4? Or?
6.
6. Oops. You should have included that on your presentation because I'm a senior mom too, and I'm so super excited. So
Well, and I know they have mitigating measures, so the mask will be required. They will do temperature checks. And if you were there for graduation last year, it was really a smooth thing, and they handled it really well. So exciting for our families.
Looking forward to that. 6.1, Payment of Bills, Group A. Mr. Stewart.
So you have in front of you the listing of bills to be paid, and I would ask for the approval of them as presented. Ms. Hargis, you should abstain due to 2 Jeffco bills being included.
Yes, and I gave Judy those numbers that I need to abstain from Jefferson College.
Okay, we need a motion to pay those bills for Group A.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. And then we go on to 6.2, resolution authorizing the insurance of approximately $40 million in principal amounts bonds. This is it.
Okay.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, here's the big kahuna. And so if you'll remember, we're issuing $40 million of bonds approved by the voters last June, Prop B, and we also are taking the opportunity to refund approximately $7.2 million. It came in at $7.195 million of refunding bonds, so we're refunding some bonds from 2013 and taking advantage of the lower interest rate environment. I'm going to have Martin Gafori with Stiefel here. They're our underwriters, and we also have Sean Bell. I'm sorry. It's not Sean Bell. He's with Gilmore and Bell. Sean Flynn with Gilmore and Bell. They're our bond counsel. And so I'm going to say a couple things, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Gafuri. But the sale went fantastic today. The market was moving in the right direction for us and worked out well. I will say we were able to save the present value savings on our refunding. So the $7.195 million of bonds, we're saving $1.75 million over the remainder life of the bonds, which is 6 years. So that's fantastic. So we're going to be saving, about $300,000 a year straight line, but it's over years. And everything we had, and Martin, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder here, but we had over $400 million of orders for our $40 million of bonds. And so what that means is good news for the district, because the price went down and we were able to get a little something called premium. So I'll let Mr. Gafuri deal with that.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy to be here tonight. Usually, whenever you see me, it's usually bringing some good news. So tonight is definitely one of those nights. We did hand out some information, so you may have this handout, something that looks like this in front of you. So maybe you've had a chance to skim some of it. I'm not going to go through it line by line by any means, but John hit some of the high notes. 416 million of orders. That is by far the biggest amount of, the largest amount of orders I've had on a transaction, especially for one where you have 47 million and change of bonds available. This was a really good showing for a number of reasons. Because of those strong orders, we were able to lower the interest rates. At the bottom of that page, you can see the impact of those rate changes. It's anywhere from 2 to 10 basis points, 0.02 to 0.1%. As far as the difference in the tax-exempt series is the 2021A bond issue. And then the taxable issue, we were able to lower those by 5 basis points, or 0.05%. And what that equates to is what I like to look at as the all-in true interest cost. That's similar to like the APR for a mortgage. So that takes into account all your costs, that takes into account everything, and your borrowing expense for the combination of the two went from a 2.30 this morning to 2.25, let's call it. We were able to lower it by 5 basis points when you look at the total combined between the two. John and Dawn did a great job with the rating agency as well. They got all these documents and questions answered, so that way we could put the best foot forward of the district and make sure that the credit rating is not deteriorating by doing anything along those lines. So with that, the underlying rating of A+ for the district was affirmed or continued, and the bonds are also included in the Missouri Direct Deposit Program, which carries a AA+ rating, which is one level below AAA. So you actually had your bonds kind of wrapped with some better credit rating as well that helps your credit picture. And you can see, I'm not going to run through the list of the purchasers, but you can see there's a long list of different individual, different companies and large firms that placed orders, like Vanguard, Eaton Vance, Templeton, American Family Mortgage, American Family Insurance. That was my uncle's old business, actually. State Farm. So some of these other large businesses and entities, trust funds, insurance companies placed lots of orders. There's a search for quality right now in the bond market and in the world where you're looking for interest rates. As we all know, if you're looking to put your money to work, you're really not earning much right now. So people are looking to earn what they can, and one of the benefits with tax-exempt or even taxable bonds, which is you actually had both, so you're able to bring both markets essentially to your transaction. It's all about supply and demand. So what we want to do is increase the amount of eyes that are looking at your bonds so that you can get as many orders as you can, so we can lower your rate as much as possible. So we were able to do that today. This was a great sale. Everything went according to plan. And happy to answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, we would be looking for approval of that resolution to go ahead and set the rates in stone, and then we'll close on May 6th.
One number I want to draw your attention to. If you look at in that middle block.
That's right.
Where it says project fund deposit. So there's you see the deposit is $43,668,560. So that additional $3.7 million over and above the $40 million is what's called premium. And that is due to the interest rate environment and the demand and what our bonds were paying on interest and the demand for those. So people were willing to pay more for a bond than what the par value is. Correct me if I'm messing anything up here, Martin. And so that project fund deposit is the money that will be deposited into our account that will be available for our $40 million worth of projects.
Correct.
So, and I will caution the board. I know there were some questions earlier today, and I couldn't say anything, Carol. I'm sorry. But I will caution the board. So we've got $40 million worth of bond projects, right? And as we talked about last week, whenever you all approved the issuance of contracts for construction coming up, they were higher than what we had projected. And because we're working with numbers that were projected 2 years ago, 2019, and you've got inflation, we've got the extra pressure from the pandemic, that I would suggest this $3.7 million does not need to lead to project expansion, but ought to be reserved for cost overruns due to inflation and the pandemic. So we would ask for your approval.
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Martin.
John, I want to thank you and your helpers for the great job you've done. I mean, this gentleman has told us just how thorough you were and that you've saved us a lot of money, and we appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of approximately $40 million in bonds.
I make a motion, and thank you, John. We appreciate everything you did.
I'll second it.
Anyone have any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone oppose? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to 7.1, the consent agenda, 7.2 through 7.6. Dr. Brocht.
We are requesting your approval for all attached hires, stipends, modifications, and separations.
Do we have a motion?
A motion?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. And 8.1, adjournment of the meeting. We need a motion.
I make a motion.
All in favor?